Does Draco Malfoy get a redemption arc in the Harry Potter series? Does he do enough by the end of things to make up for all the bad stuff that he did? Does he even deserve a redemption arc after everything? Were the bad things his fault, or does the blame lie with the people who raised him? Let's dive in and investigate. So Draco Malfoy does a lot of bad things. He calls Hermione a mudblood and celebrates the fact that Muggleborns are being attacked in the Chamber of Secrets. He body shames Molly Weasley in the Order of the Phoenix. He boasts and brags and bullies and abuses his power as a prefect. And then there's the obvious stuff like he joins Voldemort and becomes a Death Eater. He tries to kill Dumbledore. He tries to even capture Harry and Ron in the Battle of Hogwarts. But is that offset by the good things that he does? Like when he doesn't identify Harry at Malfoy Manor in the Deathly Hallows, and well, I guess that's pretty much it. So look, Draco does a lot more bad than he does good, but the question is it his fault? One of the key arguments about Draco's redemption is whether he's even to blame for some of the things that he did. In our own courts of law, justice considers moral responsibility. It's why oftentimes insanity pleas are entered when somebody's mental illness reduces their moral responsibility for a crime that they've committed. And why conspiracy is such a hefty crime, because the people conspiring to do bad things are oftentimes just as bad and have as much moral responsibility as those who actually carried it out. It's why manslaughter and murder carry different weight, because one of them is deliberate and therefore there's more responsibility to it. So let's keep all of that in mind as we address Draco Malfoy. When we first meet Draco, he is a privileged little git. He spouts off this nonsense about some families being better than others. And this prejudice is apparent through all of his early years at Hogwarts, where he makes fun of Ron being poor and Hermione being Muggleborn. But Malfoy is clearly too young to have formed these opinions himself. To use a real-world example, if you heard an 11-year-old starts shouting all this stuff about immigrants taking our jobs and that they shouldn't be allowed to come here, nobody in their right mind would think the 11-year-old had formed that opinion of their own accord. You'd blame the parents for bestowing those bigoted opinions on their children. And I think, given that the views Draco holds are evidently held by his father, we know where those viewpoints came from. And so we can't really blame Draco for that. At least not while he's that young. The real moral responsibility for a person comes as they get older, when they can form their own opinions rather than just blindly follow the prejudices of their parents. When a person has developed the brain function to rationalize their own thoughts and form their own opinions. In the UK, you'd assume that age to be around about 16 based on laws. You know, at 16 in the UK, you can join the army if you want to, or you can leave home and go and live by yourself. You're considered old enough and responsible enough to make these decisions. You can join the army, but you still can't watch a movie about the army at 16. Isn't that wild? So let's look at what Draco does at the age of 16. He almost kills Katie Bell and Ron Weasley. He orchestrates the Death Eaters breaking into Hogwarts, causing the death of Dumbledore. It's not the best rap sheet, but let's look at the wider circumstances around those things. Because Draco Malfoy has got Voldemort crashing in his spare room at this point. Voldemort is holding Lucius's failure with the prophecy over the entire family's head at that point. He's threatening them with death if they don't come through for him. Draco has to do these things for Voldemort, otherwise, Voldemort's gonna murder him and his entire family. And I don't know about you, but that would be pretty convincing for me if it were my family. Draco says as much to Dumbledore at the top of the astronomy tower before Dumbledore dies. And so ask yourself, is doing those things under the threat of the murder of you and your family any different than doing them, say, under the power of the Imperius Curse? Did Draco really have any choice? I'm not so sure. So does Draco actually get redemption in the Harry Potter series? I don't think so. We just listed off all of his good redeeming moments and there's one, and it's only a half-assed one at best. Even during the Battle of Hogwarts in the Room of Requirement, Draco is still trying to deliver for Voldemort. So what would redemption look like for Draco? Well, I read the perfect theory of redemption for him, and it's close to Prince Zuko in The Last Airbender. It starts at the end of The Half-Blood Prince. Draco disarms Dumbledore and has him at one point at the top of the astronomy tower, and Dumbledore tells Draco he has a choice. Dumbledore says he can protect Draco's family. So what if Draco said yes to that offer? Draco lowers his wand, and so the Order of the Phoenix go and collect the Malfoy family, and they put them into some sort of wizarding witness protection program, similar to what they do with the Dursleys in the Deathly Hallows, such that Voldemort and his forces can't get to them. And Harry would witness this conversation, remember? He's in the astronomy tower. And so when he tells Ron and Hermione too, they're taken aback by it. And so the following year, to help pay Dumbledore back, Draco volunteers to help with the Horcrux hunt. He knows that the sooner things with Voldemort are over, the sooner his family can come out of hiding. Now, Draco has insider information about Voldemort that he can contribute. At this point, the Lestrange Vault may already have the Hufflepuff Cup within it. We don't know exactly when that happens. Draco might know about that already, and that knowledge may help him win over the Golden Trio. But let's take it a step further too, because if Draco joins the Horcrux hunt, it'll add a really cool extra layer to the plot point where Ron leaves because he's angry. You know, they've got the locket, it's already impacting Ron a lot, he's getting jealous of Harry, and then Draco offers a couple of good ideas. He's intelligent after all. Maybe where Ron opposes one of these ideas, Harry and Hermione are all for it. They take Draco's side in one or two debates, and Ron takes that personally. He says that after everything Draco has done, they're taking his side. How could they do that to him? It drives another wedge between the trio, and it makes Ron's leaving all the more dramatic. But in Ron's absence, perhaps Draco can thrive. The Godric's Hollow scene, perhaps, with Bathilda Bagshot being Nagini. Maybe Draco is the one that pops in and saves Harry and Hermione's life somehow. Maybe Draco even destroys one of the Horcruxes along the way. And by the time we get to the Battle of Hogwarts, Draco fights alongside the good guys, maybe even having a showdown against his own father, symbolizing that he has truly conquered the prejudices that Lucius forced on him as a child. He is now his own man, and he is choosing to do the right thing, becoming an instrumental part in the defeat of Lord Voldemort. Personally, I love that as a redemption story for Draco, and if you like the idea of Draco and Harry being on the same side, then you'll love this video, which is all about if Draco and Harry became best friends from the moment they first met, going into their first year at Hogwarts. It changes a lot about the whole Harry Potter series, and I break it all down, so you'll want to watch this video next.